Yeah, please.
Testing, testing. Did they call? He's going to do the bomb. But they Good morning. Please stand up, and I'm going to do this little light of mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Lordy,
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Everywhere I go,
Everywhere I go,
I'm gonna let it shine.
oh Lord.
Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine.
Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
All over the world,
All over the world, I'm gonna let it shine, oh Lordy, all over the world, I'm gonna let it shine, all over the world, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
this little light,
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, oh Lordy. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Tag it. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
all right.
All right, have a seat.
Thank you. So everyone, take a deep breath. This is a chant, call and response. Oh God, beautiful.
Everybody got that?
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful.
At thy feet I do bow.
At thy feet, oh, I do bow.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful.
In the forest thou art green.
In the forest thou art green.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful.
In the mountain thou art high.
In the mountain thou art high.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful.
Oh God, beautiful. Oh God, beautiful. Give yourselves a hug.
Thank you.
Good morning.
And welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. I'm Maggie Schreiber, and I am delighted to welcome you to our service today. Please join me in waving to our friends online behind. Say good morning and welcome. Your presence adds to our spiritual community, and we truly appreciate you. Before we begin our service, if you would please take a moment to check your cell phones and make sure that they're actually turned off so they don't interfere with our service that we're streaming live. We are blessed today to have as our musicians Madeline and Eddie Duran, Megan T. Diamond, and Mary Stark. And please join me in welcoming our special guest, Reverend Denise Schelink. She is a co-minister with her husband at Unity of Davis. She is a transitional consultant for Unity Worldwide Ministries with peacemaking work. Let's welcome her. Let's open our service by focusing our intention through our opening affirmation. Please join me in prayerfully and powerfully speaking it together 3 times. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Take that deep into your heart, and again we say, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And one more time, deeper in your heart, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Let's continue by reading aloud the statement of our unity. God's love is within each of us, guiding us to dynamically express our wholeness, wisdom, and abundance. We acknowledge the universal wisdoms in the Christ teaching and in all spiritual paths. I now choose to open to the presence of divine love and to be changed at death. Throughout this sacred time, God is uplifting me, and through my heart, the world. And now Jeannie will come on up and give us our daily word.
Today's word is love. This is a new day. It has never existed before. It has never been lived before. It is mine. This day comes to me filled with new gifts of opportunity, vision, joy, peace, life, and substance. But most important, it is a day filled with God's love. I am grateful for this new day. Should the shadows of yesterday, the old worries, mistakes, or fears creep into my mind or heart, I let the love of God shine through any shadow, erasing any fear. If a difficulty arises during the day, I meet it with this thought: I am filled with God's love. I use this thought to bless everyone I encounter today. As I think it, sing it, feel it, live it, today becomes a wonderful day, filled with God's love all day long. The scripture is John 5:2. We know that we love the children of God when we love God and obey his commandments. And let's say the affirmation together 3 times, please. I am filled with God's love all day long. I am filled with God's love all day long. I am filled with God's love all day long.
There are many ways that we support each other here at Unity. I will highlight a few of the upcoming events. The details of these wonderful activities are also found in your bulletin and also on our website. Our spiritual learning classes have started, but drop-ins are always welcome. Classes are listed in today's bulletin. Susan Galvin will be conducting a volunteer training today at 2 o'clock. Learn about volunteering from a spiritual perspective. Women of Wonder. A new monthly gathering for women that is starting this Wednesday. The reason there's been applause is because I'm leading the Women of Wonder. And so please come be nurtured and inspired and connect with other women in a way other than through your computers and email. And really come and just join us. So we have a 5-step process that will allow you to shine. And the topics will help you to expand your awareness of yourself. And so please join us this Wednesday, 6:30. Do you wonder why so many of us struggle with life and fear of death when it should all be much easier and happier? It can be if we learn the way the universe works and who we really are. It can be, join Garrett Rigg for a 2-hour workshop on June 26th on near-death experiences, the evidence and the beauty of mystical breakthroughs. And now, and we also have the opportunity to purchase CDs on the patio of our performers today. So after the service, if you feel so inclined, please go on out and support them by purchasing a CD. And now, if you are here for the very first time, we invite you to raise your hand so that we can acknowledge you. We welcome you into our spiritual community, and we truly appreciate you being with us. Please keep your hand up high in the air because our ushers are going to be coming around and bringing you a gift of a shell lei. On that lei is an affirmation, and the affirmation says, "Just as God has a design for every shell in the sea, so God has a design for your life." And we would love to welcome you, and we do that by saying a prayer, and I will repeat it first, and then I will ask you to join me. We love you, we bless you, and we behold the Christ light shining through you. And now together, all of us, we love you, we bless you, and we behold the Christ light shining through you. And we welcome you. And now, if you would like to please stand and welcome each other.
Yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Whoa, wonderful Spirit, your joy, pour your joy in me, pour your joy into my heart. Whoa, wonderful Spirit, your love, pour your love in me. Pour your love into my heart. Whoa, wonderful Spirit, pour your light. Pour your light in me. Pour your light into my heart. Whoa, wonderful Spirit. Spirit. Whoa, wonderful Spirit.
I now invite you to prepare for our time of prayer and meditation, and we'll begin this through music.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Praise God, 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 praise God.
So join me as we move into this guided meditation. And so we take that healing breath that allows us to enter into that kingdom of heaven that is within us and all around us. Allowing that breath to go deep into the body temple, allowing for the body to become relaxed and centered and present. And so we anchor into the awareness of love's presence right here, right now. We allow this music to open our hearts and soothe our minds. And we begin to enter into this domain of love that is right here. This place of grace. This place of warm, loving light that we have walked into. This intentional place that is welcoming us in to its loving arms. And so with each breath we take, we begin to realize that we are coming home. We begin to recognize the spiritual nature of our being. And we allow this day to be one of love, of grace, of peace. And so in the quietness of this holy sanctuary, we move deeper and deeper into that holy chamber within. That connection to all life. That place in which all is well. That place in which the presence of God is so real and so obvious and so palpable because we are simply awake. And so in the sweetness of this time, we let go. With each breath we take, we let go. We surrender our life over to this amazing presence, this one presence and one power, this all-loving God that wants only for our good. And in these moments of quiet, we recognize that we are living in this flow of God substance, that we are allowing God's love to flow through us when we surrender. And so with this holy breath, we allow ourselves to expand our capacity to receive this holy vibration through the notes that are played, the music, the words, the connection, but mostly from our own heart opening and receiving God's gift. So let us move into a time of silence in which we can hear our own hearts sing in the silence. And so we thank you, Mother, Father God, for this most amazing grace that we feel in this now moment. This grace that is always present. And so we begin to make space, make room, create a capacity to see and feel and know your grace right now. And so we move through this service with a wonderful feeling of knowing that there is something going to happen today. Something wonderful wants to be birthed through us. And so our hearts are open with excitement and expectancy to receive that blessing. Thank you, God, for your amazing grace. We are indeed blessed. So be it. Amen.
In a mellow tone, feeling fancy free, and I'm not alone. I got company, everything's okay. That livelong day with this mellow song, I can't go wrong. In a mellow tone, that's the way to live. But if you mope and groan, something's gotta give. Just go your way and laugh and play. There's joy unknown in a mellow tone. a mellow tone,
in a mellow tone,
feeling fancy free,
feeling fancy free.
and I'm not alone.
And I'm not alone.
I got company.
Company.
Everything's okay.
Everything's okay.
That livelong day.
That livelong day.
With the mellow song.
With the mellow song.
I can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
In a mellow tone.
In a mellow tone.
I can't go wrong.
Thank you. Thank you. Very nice. I feel like I'm in a living room. Yes. It's beautiful. Well, good afternoon. It's not quite. Good morning. A few minutes to go. So happy to be back with you and so many familiar faces. And wow, it's beautiful. Saying hello to our web friends as well, and those of you that are joining us, we're so blessed that you're here with us, and we feel your spirit, so blessings. Send a great blessing out to Reverend David MacArthur, yes, who's with Unity Worldwide Movement as the chair of that amazing movement, and he's finishing off this amazing year that you supported him through, so God bless all of you. Yes, and that we are all stronger and better because of it, and I just love David and I'm blessed to be here. So our blessings go out to him in this very moment. And I know that we've just set up this great vibration, and it's just making its way to him, and his heart is just wide open. Yeah? Yeah. So it's good. So I heard from a friend of mine, and she was doing a talk, and she wanted to use props. So she decided to get 4 cans and to make her point for her talk. And in the cans, the first can was alcohol, and the second can was smoke. The third can was chocolate, and the fourth can was soil, rich soil, dirt. And so she had these worms. And she said, okay, I'm going to put each worm in these cans, and we're going to see what happens when they, are put in these cans. So the first can, after a while, she opens it up, and it's filled with alcohol. And she said, yes, the worm is dead. And she opens the second can that's full of smoke, and yes, indeed, the worm is dead. And she opens the third can with chocolate. The worm is almost dead. There's hope. And the fourth can is this beautifully alive, thriving worm, right? And this rich soil. So she says, so what does that tell you about living? And so Maxine is in the back, and Maxine says, I know, if you drink and smoke and eat chocolate, you won't get worms. So we have a Maxine here, I'm sure, somewhere. That's who I am, yes. It's good. So we do interpret life, don't we, to make it mean what we'd like it to mean? Right? It's that, we just take something and we go, okay, well, that means this. And so it's kind of a fun way of realizing that, it is our job to, and we do that all the time, and recognize the truth when it's there, and recognize when we're making it up. MSU, I have that after my initials, MSU. Anybody else make stuff up? Only outside of church, it's another word for S, make stuff up, but yeah. So it's good. We're moving into grace. How many of you would like to experience more grace? Yeah. So we do, we want that. And grace is that unearned, unexpected blessing, right? It's an unearned, unexpected blessing. We don't have to do anything to receive God's grace. You don't have to be anyone to receive God's grace. You don't have to be ordained. You don't have none of that. Just because you're who you are and that you're here and that you're a soul, that you have this great capacity to receive God's grace. But don't you know we have ways of keeping it coming to us? There's blocks, right? That's misperception. That is sometimes we're not allowing God to grace us by, sometimes we use life in a way that is not exactly to our best spiritual growth. And I'm talking about addictions and things like that, and many of us, and myself included, fall into that line, in young in life, and we're looking for gusto, we're looking for how much fun it could be, we're looking for, I feel so much better and richer when I'm, doing this, and recognizing that anything that is taking away the authentic part of us is really, killing our spirit versus enhancing it. So I got to wake up to that through alcoholism 22 years ago. And that was the grace of God. And I didn't receive the grace of God until I fully surrendered. You know that one? And it doesn't have to be alcoholism. It can be anything that has power over you, a relationship or anything, of thinking that you need something other than who you are to express your true nature. That I'm not enough, and that I don't know enough, that I need another degree, I need something other than who I am to really be who I am. I love what Oscar Wilde said, be yourself, everyone else is taken. Yeah. So that's what God wants us to be, is nobody but our authentic self. And sometimes early on in this incarnation, we think we're supposed to be somebody else. So we pretend and we try to mask or change or recreate. But what I know is that we're here to be exactly who we've come here to be. And so the revealing word says grace is goodwill, the disposition to show mercy. It's an aid from God in the process of regeneration and restoration. So it's an aid from God for restoring our soul. It's that call out to remind us that we're not alone in this. When you receive that grace, and it just comes at the most perfect time because we're at our wits' end. We're at in the end of the rope, that certainly I've been doing this all by myself. And that's what that surrendering is. It's a reprieve from our compulsions, our addictions, or our belief that we're not enough. It's letting go, and it's surrendering to a greater awareness and presence that is wanting to source us, as your statement says, all of the time. That there's one presence and one power active in my life. So grace is that time when we're playing in the zone. We're playing in the zone. They do it in musical times, you just get into that great jazz stuff and you're just playing and it's just all harmonious and blending. And, artists do it when they're sculpting or painting or in that artistic way. And mine is when I'm kayaking and I'm on the water and I'm just one with my boat in the water and everything else just disappears. There's no problem, right? And on the side of my boat is the word grace. So I am just floating through the water, literally in grace. And I let all life circumstances just stay on the shore. And I just find out who I am. I so know who I am when I'm in my boat. You have that place, right? Wherever that is for you. Whatever that is. And so it is for us to return to that. I know my husband will say to me, I think you need to go get in your boat for a while. It's a very loving way to say, I don't think I'm experiencing your highest self right now. So I'd like you to go find your smile. Yeah. And I love, beautiful clothes and dressing up and all of that. But somebody shared with me one time, they said, the greatest thing we ever put on is our expression. It's not what we wear, it's how we are and how our face shines and our eyes sparkle and how we connect to someone. And that's what we're seeing, And of course I know that, but there's times when I looked in the mirror as I was walking by, some window shopping or something, and I'm going, who is that person and why is she so sad? Because there's this face. So, and I'll say that, to someone, so how are you doing? I'm fine. So tell your face, Because on this side, it's not so fine. Yeah, fine is that definition of failure to identify, F-I-N-E, failure to identify needs and experiences. I'm fine. I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. Right, so it's not alive in us. It's just a rote statement to get rid of, and I don't want to tell you really what's happening. It doesn't say I'm struggling or I'm excited or things are fantastic or I'm sad or anything. It doesn't tell me anything about you. It's like a door closing. I love what Marshall Rosenberg says. Words are windows or they're walls. Words are windows or they're walls. So the words I speak and the face I carry, it's going to either create a connection with us or it's going to just shut us back, right? So it's important that I speak loving words as well as have a face that looks welcoming, that is wanting to talk to you, And so somebody at the first service said, thank you for reminding me of how I am expressing. Because we feel like we're in our own little world, and no one's watching. But we are watching. And have you ever talked to somebody on the phone and you can feel their smile? You know where they are. So it's infectious to us as well, is to really get in touch with where we are and express that in a way. So letting go and falling into the zone. And grace is waking up without guilt and fear. Grace is waking up without guilt and fear before we even start our spiritual practice. That's so nice. Many of us live in this world and try to not be of it, as Jesus taught us, to live in this world but not of this world, which is there's scarcity, there's lack, there's limitation, there's competition, there's. And so it's difficult because we're constantly bombarded with those images, with that illusion that there's this separation from God and self and each other. And so it's a matter of, always going back to the cushion and the mat. But when you can wake up and already feel the grace of God, before we begin the meditation, before we read the daily word, it's just the most precious feeling. Because many of us, I don't know about you, wake up with this sense of urgency. We need to get up, we have a lot to do, and I'm very important, and I have a lot of engagements, and I better check my cell phone, and I'm going to check my emails, because I'm sure I have 20 or 30 that I must answer right this moment, and that my job is the most important job, and if I don't get up and do it, nobody else will. And the babbling goes on and on about how important we are. Isn't it just insane? You could say yes. Okay. It's good to laugh at it. It's good to talk about it. It's good to just not deny that it doesn't happen, that we think, oh no, I'm on the spiritual path and I never have fear, worry, or doubt. I am in constant contact with God, thank you. Please. It's about embracing our humanity and expressing our divinity. But until we're really ready to embrace the humanity, it's kind of a fake expression of divinity. It's kind of an illusion. And we kind of know it when that's happening. So that's what I call authentic expression of really when I'm embracing who I am, all of it. It's part of our journey of awakening, is allowing this life to bless us. But fear will keep us from moving forward. Fear will keep us locked in the illusion that we're separate from God. Fear is that false evidence appearing real. Yeah. False evidence appearing real. And it's also, in the Course in Miracles, says, the presence of fear is a sure sign of you trusting in your own strength. Forgetting that there's a presence and power, right? That I, of myself, have to do this. That was an issue for me a long time that I finally got aware of not too many years ago. I have to do everything. You know that one? I have to do the dishes, I have to do this, and and I figured out that, I needed to let go of that story. Because I was creating that story of believing that I needed to do everything. And so fear for me, too, is being willing to embrace what is. And I love the Indian story, the Hindu story of falling into the tiger's mouth. So many of us have fears, this illusion that there's really something after us, something's going to get us. There's a tiger that's going to eat me. And it may be in the form of a boss or a coworker or a relationship or the economy or the 401k or whatever it is, this fear that wakes us up. But really, it's the teaching is to fall into the tiger's mouth, to allow the teaching to just be with what is, to allow the fear to just fall full into the fear and let the tiger devour us. Because the fear is not who we are. And if the tiger eats us, that is who we are not, and what is left is the essence of who we are. And then we can move through life. But if we're not willing to face the tiger or to fall into its mouth, then we're continually running from whatever it is that keeps us in that place of not knowing. We all have something different. Yes? Yeah. And I love that. So fear is the false evidence appearing real that there is a tiger. Don't we make it up? MSU. We do. And we give our power out to something else. And so it's time to reclaim it. It's time to allow the grace of God to flow through our lives. So how is it that we obstruct the experience of grace? Well, we resist, we blame, and we believe in a story that is keeping us from our good. We believe in a story that we've either experienced and we have enhanced. Any of you enhance experiences? MSU. We do. We take it and we make meaning to it. We have to. We have this human tendency of, so this happens, so that means this, right? So we are making a story. And so what I love to say to people is, let go of the story and get on with the glory. Let go of the story. It doesn't serve us anymore. We do need to tell it. We need to have someone witness our life. We need to have someone hear our pain and struggle that we've gone through. Don't misunderstand me. We do. We need to share it, and we need to let someone hear it so that we can move through it and then set it down and ask for the teaching from that, right? So how, instead of why is this happening to me, how can I use this, God, to express more of you? Isn't that a better question? Okay, good. I'm going to give you the answers in case you're forgetting. It's good. So let go of the story and get on with the glory. And that's what we're here to do, this amazing work, to express the gifts that God has given us. And we're afraid that we're not enough, or we won't say it right, or we won't do it right, or someone will be better than us, or whatever it is. It's just time to let go of it, don't you think? Yeah. It just is. I'm ready. And that doesn't mean it's not going to be difficult. It can be. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's what I've done with public speaking. I couldn't stand it. I hated it. I did. My stomach would churn. I would almost throw up. My knees would knock. And people would say, so why do you do it? I have to. But there's something there for you as well, right? I mean, there's something so compelling for us. And even though it's difficult, we need to do that. We need to express in that way. And not everyone's is fearful. Some people just have this gift and they share it. But for most of us, that gift comes with a struggle. That we grow into it. It just doesn't come fully developed, right? Jesus was fully realized, but it took a little while for him to awaken. And that's where we are, is we're realizing our divinity. We're recognizing, who we are, but it takes a little while to fully develop that full oneness and recognition of our Christhood. But that's what we're here for, to awaken, to know that. So we're moving through life, and there's this whole idea of the storm, and Jesus taught the disciples about how to be in a storm when he was in the boat after he had just taught many lessons to the multitudes, and he was exhausted and tired, and he fell asleep in the boat. And the disciples, the storm started happening, and the disciples were becoming fearful, very afraid. And they finally woke up Jesus, and they said, Jesus, don't you know that there's a storm happening, and we're afraid, So Jesus gets up and just stands in the boat and holds out his hands, and he just says, peace, be still. And of course, the winds and the seas calm, and everything gets still. And so he's teaching his disciples about this centeredness, this idea of the eye of the storm, the I am of the storm. That no matter what is happening in the circumstances of life, the winds and the turbulence, the dramas, the chaos, the confusion out here, the circumference of life, that this is all circling around us, this world out here that is having the illusion that there's a separation, this confusion. That in that center of the storm is the I am, the eye of the storm, where it is calm and peaceful, and we are centered in our God self, in our wholeness. And when we come from that awareness of that we're attached to who we are and we know who we are, then we respond to life in a way that is advantageous to the world and to us. We come from wisdom, we come from love, compassion, and peace. Even in a world that is, chaotic and confused and in turmoil, or in relationships, right? So we're not always there. Have you noticed? We're not always grounded in the center of the storm. Many of us like to stand on the outside, where the confusion and the chaos and the turmoil have become part of the conversation and the dilemma and the conflict and and the believing in the illusion of separation and scarcity. And then when it becomes so uncomfortable that we just can't take it anymore, that's when we go into the self and pray, right? We go into the secret place and we begin to ground and center and remember that who we are is this sense of I am and connected to God, and that there is a spiritual solution to every human dilemma. But I can't see it or experience it unless I'm grounded in truth. If I'm believing in the illusion that is out there in the winds and the turmoil, then I become part of the problem. Yes? Yes. It's good. It's all about self-awareness, isn't it? It's so easy to blame, and it's out there, the problem is out there, and you're the one that's causing my, when we recognize that, there's absolutely no way for us to experience conflict unless we are connected to it. It's the only way. If we know who we are, then nothing that is said or done will affect us. It's like Teflon. Floats right off, But some of us are wearing Velcro. We take it personal, right? So it's good. So the spiritual warrior wears Teflon. Just allowing all of life's experience to just float off, to be that grounded center of the I am. And that's the grace, is when we can stand in the center of the storm and be the presence of peace, to be the presence of love, to be the presence of wisdom. That's what I want. Yeah. That no matter what's happening on the outside, the illusion that's happening, that I'm remembering who I am, that I'm helping others remember who they are. And I hope not to join in the pity parties, not to join in the illusion of the separation of God, not to join in the lack and scarcity, that there's not enough. Don't you think there's enough resources on this planet to provide for every need of every being we have here? Yes. So it's not a matter of resources. It's not a matter of lack. It's a matter of consciousness, of us recognizing that we are responsible to our brothers and sisters on this planet. We're not responsible for their activity, for what happened to them, but we're responsible to respond in a loving, beautiful, human way. Yes? Yes. So right now we're in this great realignment of consciousness, aren't we? Between the haves and the have-nots, all the abundance, financial goods, and so just know with me that we're just realigning. We're just redoing metaphysics and spiritual laws. Those are the same, but we're realigning all of the ideas that are circulating out there that there's not enough, that you're separate, or you're not as good as me, that you don't deserve as much as I do. So we're moving into a paradigm shift of moving away from competition to cooperation, from lack to abundance, to know that we are one and not separate, and that there is a spiritual solution to every human condition. Yes? So we can be the eye of the storm for our brothers and sisters. We can be still and know when the chaos and confusion takes place. And I'd like to end with a scripture reading from the Bible in Kings. And it's the Elijah, the prophet, during this time of the great drought. And he was struggling for his life against the Israelites. It's in 1 Kings 19, 11 through 12. And the Spirit of God said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Now there was a great wind, so strong that it was splitting mountains and breaking rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a sound of sheer silence. In the silence, let us pray. So, beloved presence, we are so blessed from your teachings of this sheer silence, of this place of pure peace, of pure bliss, standing in the eye of the storm. That it is you right here with us that was wanting us to rise above any illusion, any sense of separation. And so today we rise above that idea, sailing on eagle's wings, allowing your grace to fill us with courage and strength to do what is ours to do, to be a magnificent expression of you, God. We begin to live in a manner of trusting that you are with us every step of the way, that this presence and power is within and without. And so we gather together in your name in places like this, and we say, thank you, God, for this embodiment, for these teachings, and for this exciting adventure we are all on called life. And we are blessed as we make room for grace. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. So be it. Amen. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Denise, for your beauty and your grace. Thank you. We're grateful you're here. If you would like prayer support for any challenges or celebrations, please ask one of our heart ministers. They will be available after the service here in the sanctuary and out on the patio, and you will be able to identify them. They'll be wearing the lavender stoles. You are also invited to place a prayer request in our prayer box by the front door or in the book center. And also, you can go online, and by selecting the prayer request button, you can ask for a prayer on our website. And we will be praying with you throughout the week. It's time now for our prosperity celebration. I invite you to take your tithes and your love offerings in your hands. If you are making a Love in Action or a credit card donation, there are envelopes provided in the back of your chairs. And it is time for us to say our affirmation together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. In a moment, the ushers will come forward.
The more I see you, the more I love you. Somehow this feeling just grows and grows. With every thought, I become more mad about you, more lost without you, and so it goes. Can you imagine how much I love you? The more I see you, as years go by, I know the only one for me can only be you. My arms can't free you, my heart won't try.
imagine how much I love you. The more I see you as years go by, I know the only one for me can only be you. My arms can't free you, my heart won't try, my heart won't try, my heart won't try, won't try.
We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light of God.
In the light, 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 in the light of God. We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God.
Before we bless our offering, I would like to just let you know that if you'd like to know more about Reverend Denise's ministry and the things that she's up to, there is a sign-up sheet outside on the patio, and she'd be happy to talk to you out there. And now we'll bless our children. We say to you, children, we love you, we bless you, and we behold the Christ light shining through you. God loves you, and so do we. And now, if you'll bring the offerings forward, we'll bless them. We give thanks for these gifts, and we commit them to expanding the consciousness of love in our world. And now, if you'll stand, and we'll say our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God folds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God ever present. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
You are the love, the light, and the peace in the world right now. So let it shine and have fun.
The more I see you, somehow this feeling just grows and grows. With every thought, I become more mad about you, more lost without you. and so it goes. Can you imagine how much I love you? The more I see you as years go by, I know the only one for me can only be you. My arms won't free you, my heart won't try, my heart won't try, my heart won't try. Can you imagine how much I love you? The more I see you as years go by, I know the only one for me could only be you. My arms can't free you, my heart won't try.